Hello, hello. Hey, Catherine. Hey, Cody.
Hi.
For
Can you
now,
hear me?
I can hear you, Cody. Hey,
Is there an
Debbie.
echo?
So you two go ahead and actually I will invite you to speak, but we'll just keep yourselves muted for the first couple minutes here as we let others join the room. Hey, Marcy. Look at this new time for Chatmosa. Happy Wednesday. It's 11:30 a.m. here in Los Angeles. 2:30 p.m. on the East Coast. Listening to the soundtrack from Runaway Bride right now, if you can hear it, which was a production filmed in Maryland. I'm sure Debbie and Catherine are aware of that. But Marcy, did you know that? I didn't know that until I started researching Maryland.
How's the audio, Chad?
Audio's great. I can hear you just swell. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but on my end, I'm getting an echo. So I just want to make sure that I'm not on your end.
No, you are not. You sound gorgeous.
Okay. Fantastic.
You guys sound great. That was super. I really liked. I didn't know that was the soundtrack and that was filmed there. That's good to know.
Yeah, there's a lot of productions filmed in Maryland.
There are. We're going to be naming off a list of them somewhat shortly. So cross your fingers. You'll be surprised at a couple. Maybe you're familiar with a couple.
And some will be like, oh yeah, obviously. Hello, hello, hello.
Oh, hi, yeah.
It is 11:32 a.m. in Los Angeles, 2:32 p.m. on the East Coast. Welcome to Chatmosa. I'm just waiting a couple minutes here before we really begin our conversation with our wonderful speakers. You can look up onto the Nest, which is that banner above all of our name icons, and see what this episode is about. We are speaking with two representatives from the Maryland and Baltimore film offices, Deborah Dorsey and Catherine Batovic. We'll let them join the conversation shortly. If this is your first time using Chatmosa, welcome Lauren, welcome Adesola. If this is your first time, you are a guest of us at the moment, and you are more than welcome at any time to join the conversation. There are a couple of ways to do that. We have our session chat to the right of the screen. You can type in your name, hello, any questions or comments you have throughout the conversation. Additionally, you can request to be a speaker. And so you have that microphone icon at the bottom left of your screen. You can click on that, requesting yourself to be a speaker there. And we will gladly bring you on to ask any questions yourselves or join the conversation once we really get started.
Hello, Lauren. Hello, Adesola. Welcome to the room. Thank you for joining us this afternoon.
It's actually still kind of, is it afternoon? When does it actually qualify as afternoon on the West Coast? Is it noon? I guess, is it afternoon? Does that make sense?
I think it's in the word. Afternoon.
What is a word, Cody?
Words are powerful things. Don't underestimate the power of our words.
Amen. Aho.
You know, Chad, I was doing some fun research outside of the realm of film and TV about Maryland in general, because to be honest, I don't know a lot about Maryland. I haven't really been over to the East Coast that much, but I was doing some investigation. Did you know the Star Spangled Banner originated in Baltimore?
You know, I did know that only because I researched that about 15 minutes before you did.
You sneaky guy. Well, how about this one? Did you know that Maryland has a state dinosaur? Please say no, because this fact is too fun for me to not be able to share with somebody.
Please tell me. I love dinosaurs, and I would love to hear about this.
Well, it is the Astrodon. It is, when I heard that, I had no idea what that was, but you all are probably familiar with the Brachiosaurus, the Brontosaurus. It is a somewhat similar looking dinosaur. And the reason Maryland claims this to be their state dinosaur is because it was discovered in Maryland in the 19th century. So I found that to be incredibly fascinating.
So they found a fossil, is what you're saying.
Or a live one, and they're keeping it secret like aliens.
You know, Jurassic Park is real, and I knew it all these years.
Yeah, and it's in Maryland.
Yeah, that I did not know, but happy to hear. That's one reason to go to Maryland, and we are about to share with you many more reasons to go to Maryland. And
thank you, Catherine. Yeah, I'll post that to the Nest. Catherine has shared with us a resource to discover more about the beautiful state that is on our East Coast.
So let's dive into it. We are 5 minutes in. More people will be coming in and out. That is the beauty of Chatmosa. You can tune in for 20 minutes, you can tune in for 2 hours, and you can tune in whenever you want. So we are here today to talk about Maryland, and specifically the Maryland Film Commission and the film offices throughout the state. So what is Maryland's film journey and television journey like? Why should we film in Maryland? Well, Maryland offers a rich array of landscapes, from mountains in the west, across the rolling hills and farmlands of central Maryland, to the beautiful waterfront and sandy beaches of the eastern shore. Architecture spans the centuries from colonial to modern and illustrates a wide range of socioeconomic backgrounds, which can be found throughout the state. There is a deep crew base experienced in every guild and trade, over 650 IATSE members, over 3,000 SAG members, and film-sensitive Teamsters all make Maryland the place you're shooting for. I have been to Maryland once. I went to Annapolis, actually. This was years ago, but beautiful state. Everything that I just shared, which I did not write myself, I can't take credit for, rings true. I was just kind of inspired and just in awe of the beauty. And I happened to go during I think it was a little bit rainy. I guess it was graduation for Annapolis, so it was around May, June. But yeah, I loved the streets. I loved the buildings. It was just generally there was history in the vibe that I was feeling there. And so I 100% appreciate that. Filming there, you would be able to capture that history and capture that ambiance that is just kind of bleeding off the streets.
Wow, bleeding off the streets.
Well, that's bleeding without blood.
Enthusiastic language. Wow. Well, okay. The last thing I would just like to share with our audience, because there have been a number of large-scale productions that have taken place and been shot over in Maryland. And just to fill the audience in, we've seen Wedding Crashers. We've seen the Julia Roberts show feature Runaway Bride. Classic young adult film Tuck Everlasting, horror movie iconic experience, The Blair Witch Project, and some of our really, really well-known TV shows such as House of Cards, Veep, The Wire, and most recently Apple TV Plus's Lady in the Lake. These are all shows and films that have just a small portion of the shows and films that have taken place and or filmed in the Baltimore or Maryland area. So,
and it looks like you posted the filmography onto our Nest. So for our listeners here, right above our icons, we have the Nest. We'll be posting a couple of more links throughout the episode onto that. So you can click on that logo, that image, and that'll direct you to those links that we'll be posting.
Well, without further ado, Chad, how about we introduce Miss Debbie and Miss Catherine onto the show so we can hear more from them about their working relationship. They've been working for around 30 plus years together in the Baltimore and Maryland area, working in the various film commission and film offices there. So we'd love to invite them on. Please, ladies, feel free to unmute yourself and join the room.
Catherine and Debbie, thank you both for joining us today.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Hi.
Nice to be here. Thanks for having us.
Good afternoon.
It is our pleasure. So how are you two today? How's your day been at the offices?
It's a rainy day here. Yep. Just like your visit.
Just like my visit, exactly. Luckily, though, you're inside during the rain. I would.
Yeah. It's a cool and rainy day. And that's one great thing about Maryland is we get all 4 seasons. So we get to get winter and then beautiful autumn and fall and hot summers. So all kinds of different types of light.
Beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You get to experience. I know here in LA, I mean, that's why people film so often here, I suppose, or used to, I should say. It's because the sun is out all the time. But yeah, but I miss the leaves changing color, and I miss even just the rain. I always relish it when it's here. So I'm sure it's nice to be able to experience those 4 seasons and hopefully not get tired of the rain.
No, it
doesn't rain that much.
Yeah. We had a dry summer, so this is really a welcome thing.
Definitely needed.
100%. Let the leaves change color with that. Well, cool. So yeah, we mentioned you have been working together for 30 years, but we would love to just kind of hear each of your journeys, just from where you started in film, what got you interested in film, and how you ended up in the film commission sector.
Sure. I can go ahead, Deb, if you want me to
Okay.
start.
Go ahead.
So I kind of fell into the film industry right out of college. I graduated and was looking for a job and doing some temporary work, and I got placed in the Virginia film office originally. So I worked in Virginia to start, and I was there for a few years. Worked my way up to handling locations there. Then moved up to Maryland in '94 as their location person, and in 2002 became the deputy director of the film office, and have been in that role since that time. So I've always worked on the film commission side. Got very, very lucky with my first job out of college. It's been a real interesting career to have, working with production activity. One of the challenges with Maryland, with the current situation, is I am part-time as the deputy director, which seems kind of strange. Back with the big recession, they shuffled some folks around in our office. We're under the Department of Commerce, and so I work part-time with tourism and the film industry.
Was this the 2012 recession or the 2008 recession, or like the recent?
The big 2008 one, yeah. So yeah, it's been a while that I've been double duty. It worked pretty well for a while. It was not too terribly complicated because we have a very small incentive. It was maybe one project a year, and that's been the major focus of what I do for the past 15 years or so, is handling the incentive program. But a few years ago in 2019, they passed an amendment to the legislation which set aside 10% for what's referred to as Maryland small films. So they're local independent productions that can get a 28% tax credit. So that once that went into effect, my workload quadrupled because we have a lot of small independents that have taken advantage of it. And they require a lot more hand-holding. So that's kind of my story, how I got into the industry. And I met Debbie when I moved up here. So we've known each other since '94.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think that is 30 years. Because
I know.
It is crazy. Well, I started out, I graduated from, I was born and raised in Maryland, in Baltimore, in Anne Arundel County and in Maryland, and went to Towson University where I studied mass communication. I focused on community and public relations and studied photography. And after that, I kind of worked in restaurants and did a few things and traveled around Europe and really discovered that I did not want to get a suit job or any kind of corporate-y job. And I wanted to wear hiking boots and shorts all the time. That's what I wanted to do. And so I started working on commercials and commercial production houses. I freelanced and just loved production. So I started as a production assistant, was doing a lot of prop stylist work, and then came on. My first movie set was a movie called Men Don't Leave with Jessica. Help me. So that was in, I guess,
Jessica Lange, of course.
Jessica Lange, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Jessica Lange, and there were some reshoots. So that was my first time on set in locations. And then I went on and became a location manager. My first big film was Barry Levinson's Avalon. In 1989, I worked on Sleepless in Seattle, Homicide: Life on the Street, Washington Square, went out of state a few times. So I worked as a location manager for about 12 years. And then through some life changes, there was an opportunity to get more of a steady hour kind of job with the Baltimore City Film Office, who I had already worked very closely with as a location manager. So I've been with the Baltimore Film Office now for 17 years. And it's great. I mean, it's not always 9 to 5, but it's about as close as it can be compared to working 16-hour days. So
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So I bet like working in locations, I'm sure that's just helped a lot for what you're doing now, just kind of having that grasp of even just a sect of production in general, but specifically locations.
Right. And then all of my just background and what I liked and learned in school and what were kind of my natural abilities with community relations and public relations and just people, working with people in the restaurant business. And then, of course, the photography skills you need for locations. It all just worked out for me. And I always, when I talk to students or anybody coming into the business, I always kind of say, hey, this industry is so diverse and needs so many different kinds of people for different jobs. What do you do best? So for me, I just it was all kind of a natural thing. So yeah, knowing the locations, being from here, knowing the history, all the people that I know, all my connections, it's been a great career.
I love that. Yeah, and it just kind of goes to show too that no matter like what jobs you have throughout your tenure, your life, like it's all, at the end of the day, even if you don't see it for what it is then when you're in it, it's all leading to assist you and to be a part of you for your future endeavors. So I think you're a wonderful example of that, Debbie.
Oh, yeah. So thanks. Yeah, it's just, it's in just recognizing that. And I think that's the beauty of the film industry really too, is just you do have the freedom to kind of, be yourself as long as you can figure that out.
Right. Yeah. Once there's no fear to being yourself.
Right.
Let it all fly. So do you and Catherine either can answer this question, obviously, do you work closely or together generally throughout your weeks, your days, or just kind of see each other randomly?
We work very closely. I think Catherine and then Jack Urbis is in the film office as well. And we'll speak sometimes every day. And it's really important that we do work together and share information. And I think we've had a great relationship all these 30 years, I'll say.
Cool. Beautiful. So question, you're at the Maryland Film Office, Catherine, and so Baltimore is, because we, like, for example, the California Film Commission, there's, 20 plus regions that the CFC kind of oversees. How many regions are in Maryland that have their own commission offices?
It looks like Catherine's mic may not be working, but I'll say, so Baltimore City has had a film commission since 1979. I handle all activity in Baltimore City. There's a film liaison in Baltimore County. Various counties have more film liaisons. There is a film commission in Prince George's County. So maybe 1 to 4 additional. Okay. We're a pretty small state. So
definitely, yeah.
Course, yeah. I think, Chad, you said 20. In California, it's around 60.
Well, that's what I meant.
Can you hear me?
There you are, Catherine. We hear you.
Yeah, sure, you're back.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Wow. I don't know what was happening.
You made it.
No
back.
problem. You're here now.
I don't know. For some reason, my computer, it just randomly decides to not let the mic work. I think I need a new computer.
Technology has been rebelling lately. My computer started buzzing and screaming at me in this really strange way this morning. Couldn't understand it. I don't speak computer, I guess. But so Catherine, we were just sort of, could you still hear us? I guess that's the question.
Yes, you were talking. I wasn't sure if I was really paying that close attention because I was trying to figure out the mic. Talking about the regions for filming.
Yes.
Film offices.
Yes. Yeah. Just getting a sort of lay of the land. But I think...
so statewide, like Debbie said, we only have really her office and Prince George's County have dedicated film offices. Each locality across the state can issue a permit. Not all of them do. We have liaisons in different counties. Some of the ones that get a little busy are Frederick, Annapolis, Anne Arundel County, and PG, Montgomery County. Most of the filming tends to take place in sort of the central area along the I-95 corridor, just for ease of access. We have had filming on the Eastern Shore and in Ocean City. And the communities welcomed them with open arms. Wedding Crashers was over on the Eastern Shore, and the Inn at Perry Cabin. If you ever do travel and have a lot of dough to spend, I highly recommend staying at the Inn at Perry Cabin. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous place.
Was
on
that
East Side
the
of Maryland.
main location for that film?
It's where the wedding was. Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah. I have seen
And
that
they
film a
still
number of times, so I remember, yes.
to this day book weddings because of that movie.
Amazing. I mean, it's a smart film. I mean, I don't know how well it's aged. I haven't seen it in a number of years, but back when it was fresh, I watched it a few times.
Yeah.
So a question, I know we're going to be kind of the tax incentive program is going to be, one of the meat and potatoes of this conversation. But I did have an initial question, just sort of off your explanation of, the regions of Maryland. And so in California, for instance, there's the primary, the hub of Los Angeles, Hollywood, and that sort of main region. But when you step outside and you go into the lesser populated areas and the areas of the state that aren't necessarily seeing a lot of foot traffic from film and TV, there's an uptick. You get a bonus basically through the rebate program. Does Maryland have a similar thing, or is it sort of, is that not in the
We
calculation?
don't currently. Okay. Currently, we do not. It's not something that's out of the question because we reevaluate constantly what our credit is. I will say that this is the first administration since tax credits went into existence, which was in the early 2000s. This is the first administration that has publicly said they support the film industry and will do what they can to make it work. We've had incentives, but it's been spotty funding. It's been inconsistent in the funding. So it's under the last administration, it was very steady. We did have a steady amount of money. It was just not enough to attract anything. It was 12 million. So since the new administrations, it has increased a little bit each year. So this fiscal year, we currently have 17.5 million available. Next fiscal year, so that's a July to June, we'll have 20 million available.
Okay.
Currently, our program for any one project is capped at $10 million. So the last two big series that came in, Lioness and Lady in the Lake, and We Own the City, all of those got $10 million each. That's the maximum that one project can get.
Okay.
And that could be either a feature film or one season of a series is how a project is defined. Or, other things that qualify: commercials, shorts, features, web series, documentaries. And just this past year, they added reality. So unscripted series now qualify.
Wow. Okay. So you've got a lot of opportunity. And so,
Yes.
And if you have a production that's coming, I mean, I guess I was going to ask a question, but I sort of want to ask another question in front of it. Like, how competitive right now is the territory? Like, do you have a lot of applications coming through? Is that even how it
No. And I would guess that you folks that work consistently in this industry know that pretty much for the last almost 2 years, the industry in the U.S. has been really at a standstill with the labor unrest. So the Writers Guild and SAG, that work stoppage. After that was sort of resolved, they had the IA Teamsters contract on the horizon. So a lot of production, and this I'm saying major studio companies, those kind of major productions. A lot of the companies were hesitant to move forward because they didn't want to get down the road and not have any and have their crew go out on strike. So there has not been a lot of activity. We had one unscripted series that was supposed to film in the summer that actually had an application, was ready to go, and the network said, we're not going to film when there's a strike, when there's, so then we did have a docuseries that filmed and had a very small independent production out of the UK that came in and filmed. So we've had a tiny little bit of activity, but not a lot. So currently we have fiscal year 24 and fiscal year 25 funding available. So we have about 30 million in credits available for production.
Wow. So it rolls over. So if it's not
It
spent,
does.
okay,
It
that's
does.
That is
And
amazing.
even I mentioned the small film program. That's a 10% set aside every year. And if we don't go through that 10%, that rolls back into the larger program as well.
Okay. And so, or Chad, you had a.
I was going to, because you mentioned that Lady in the Lake and Lioness, they each received 10 million. Was that must have been because there was a rollover from the previous year?
They actually, because of how they filmed, they came in on separate fiscal years.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
And they spent more, but they only could collect the max.
Yeah.
10
Oh, they
million.
went. Yeah, they way over.
They went way
Oh, okay.
Those are big productions.
right.
And is the rebate certificate that's awarded, is it transferable? What are some of the options that are available for that?
Yeah. So how our program works, it's a refundable tax credit. So you come in, well, first you have to apply to qualify. You can be either a production from LA can come in and apply as the production company. You just have to register to do business in the state of Maryland. So you apply to qualify. We do require proof of financing and evidence of national distribution. And that we work with productions of different levels. With the independents that we know are fundraising, we ask that they at least show that they have the funds to complete the production period. For the evidence of national distribution, the statute says specifically, quote, intended for national distribution. So for the small independents or people that don't have a distribution deal, we ask that they submit a letter saying we plan to submit to these festivals. If people involved in the project have a solid history of getting projects made and distributed, you can add people's credits. So the distribution part, we work with the company on that. A project like Veep for HBO was very easy. It was a letter from HBO saying we are financing this and we will air it. So it was a 2-sentence letter. Also a script, a budget, and a production schedule. So that's what at the beginning, you submit that to qualify.
Okay. Based
on what in your application, what you put down as your projected spend to qualify, we will, as long as you qualify, we will reserve, it's 28% for feature films and Maryland small films, and 38% for series. We'll reserve that amount. If it's over 10 million, we'll reserve the 10 million for you. If it's under that, we'll reserve whatever that amount is. Then you film your production, you go all the way through, 30%, not 38, 30% for series. That's okay. You film, there's a bunch of back-end documentation that has to be submitted for projects whose local spend is over 250,000. We do require a third-party CPA agreed upon procedure report. Then once we go through, based on what your actual spend is, we issue a certificate. The Department of Commerce issues a tax credit certificate. It can be up to the amount that we reserved for you, but it can't go over that amount. You could get less, but you won't get more than what we reserve. Because our program is limited and capped, we have to set specific amounts because we can't overpromise money we don't have.
Okay.
So we issue that certificate, then the company files their Maryland corporate income tax return, and as long as there is no tax liability in the state of Maryland, you would get the amount of the certificate as a refund from the Comptroller of Maryland.
Okay. Wow. So that's wonderful. So it's interesting you brought up, that you can't pay more. So that in that event, it would be if, there ended up being more qualified spend, it doesn't really matter because the amount that was promised at the beginning is the max that the production will receive. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And we do work with you when you're applying. We say pad it a little bit. We're not going to let you pad it by millions of dollars, but enough to give you a little bit of wiggle room for, hopefully you're going to be well within your budget. We don't want you to be over budget. Happens all the time though. So.
Well, awesome. That was a fantastic rundown. So let's see. I mean, do you have, I know that it's been slow, the industry has been in a lull. We kind of talked about that a little bit, but have you seen applications coming in?
Yeah, we actually just got one today for an unscripted series would go after the first of the year. I think a lot of production is gearing up to start again after.
Yeah, we've been hearing the Thrive in 25, so that's.
Yeah, I think I've heard that as well. I like that actually.
I agree.
So we have another small production that we think we're going to receive an application in the next week or so. Possibly could go this fall, but is more likely going to go in after the first of the year. But that's where we stand. Unfortunately, because of our level of tax credit and the uncertainty ours has not been, stable. We don't get a lot of the calls. They go directly to the Pittsburghs and Atlantas and
okay.
New Orleans of the world, the ones that have.
Well, I see one of our guests, Marcy, has a question. So we'll let Marcy into the room, and I just wanted to pose a question to answer later because I'd just like to hear from both of you a little bit about the history of the tax credit. I know you touched on it earlier, but just what you know about the sort of struggle to convince the legislature to turn their attention and support toward it. So we'll let Marcy come in and shift the conversation as well. But I do want to get back to that because I find that to be an interesting talking point.
Hi, ladies. My name is Marcy Brown. I'm with a production company called Catchlight Studios. And
Hi, Marcy.
Hi. I was at AFCI. What was it? 4 weeks ago? Were you guys there?
Yes, both
Yep.
Debbie and I were there. Mm-hmm.
I was there.
I missed
Sorry I
you.
didn't get to see you.
I know. I think next time I have all these people that I want to connect with, so I'll have to be more active on that app.
Yes.
Yeah.
Same here. I didn't figure it out till like halfway through.
I
Right.
know.
How to use it.
Yeah. But I really thought that this year, Jacqueline and her team did a really great job at AFCI, and it was great to have it at UCLA. I thought it went really well. What I noticed, because I'm not a film commissioner, but what I noticed about being an independent producer when I was there is, even though, and because there's film commissioners from all over the world there too, not just from the U.S. I'm speaking primarily to the U.S. film commissions. Everyone was so committed and kind of like locking arms. I mean, it can be very competitive, I'm sure for all the film commissions, as a producer, where do I want to take my project? Who has the best tax incentive? Who has the deepest crew? You have all those questions, but you guys are all in competition with each other because you want the project to come to your region. But it did seem like everyone was sort of banding together, at least the film commissions in the US. It's almost like, okay, don't take your projects out of the US where there's lots of choices here in the US. Please don't go to another country. But it was nice to see everyone was sort of like a community vibe there of like, keep your projects at least in the US, if you're not going to come to, Maryland or New Mexico or whatever it is. So I just felt a really nice vibe there, which I wanted to mention.
Thanks. Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like the states really did. We all as states feel at a disadvantage, and that was one of the things that was discussed a lot during the program was if you go almost anywhere else in the world, they have 3 levels of tax credits. So they have a national tax credit, Australia, for example. Then they have a territory tax credit. So the Gold Coast or Sydney or whichever. And then they will have, actually, I'm not saying the state right for whatever the Gold Coast is. Then the Gold Coast has their own incentives. So you have 3 layers of incentives, which could then get you to almost, it seems like half your project. We, on the other hand, if we're lucky, we have a state and a local. Maryland is not. We just have our state incentive. There's several cities. Florida no longer has a state incentive. They just have city incentives or county. So a lot of the states feel at a disadvantage to anywhere else in the world for production. And I know the business has migrated back to Canada, which unfortunately was the reason we have incentives to begin with. They were very aggressive in pulling the industry out of the states back in the early 2000s, and they're back. Everyone I talked to from Canada had production going on, and most of the people that I talked to in the States did not. So,
Yeah.
Well,
sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say in the last few years, I mean, really the United States has watched it become a big global market. And we're in as much as we all were civil and enjoyed each other's company, it is kind of hard right now because we're seeing so many projects. And maybe it's just because of the contraction in the not green lighting projects in the last year or so, but I just hear and know of so many projects that are shooting all around the world, not just Canada, but Eastern Europe and South Africa and the Far East. So it's, we're watching, and we don't want to lose our industry completely because, like Catherine said, when we all started these state-by-state incentive programs was to make sure that our industry stayed in the United States. So it's tricky, right? We all want to get along, but also we want to make sure we don't lose our industry completely.
Yeah, and especially being here in Los Angeles, we feel that really hard because we feel like we're the heart of the industry, right? And I've been in the business for almost 40 years, and I've just watched legacies of families and generations of families who are vendors, whether they're costume houses or prop houses or just completely fold in the last couple of years. And it's really taken a toll on this industry. So I hope that there was a great LA Times article about a week ago, and we don't want to, I really don't want to take work out of the United States and especially out of LA, but there was a quote from a prop master who said, we don't want to be saying in a couple of years, this is where they used to make TV and movie. This is Hollywood, and this is where it used to happen. But I think, it would be great if everyone got on the same page, and I say everyone as in the IA and the Teamsters. There's a lot going on there that feels like we're not all on the same page. That could really boost the industry to stay in the United States because there's so many places. It's just the topography can pretty much can be, from the moon to, you can do it anywhere. And the U.S. really lends itself to that. So I think it's a struggle for all of us to try and keep TV and movie making back here in the U.S. So
I agree. And it's just, losing it in LA, but to lose it out of the United States completely is a whole new thing that we're watching right now.
Did I just see that California is looking to do similar to New York in incentivizing using the studios there? Because I know New York, you get a bump up if you film in their studios, and I've heard that their studios are booked out for years in advance.
You do get a tax if you film in a accredited, I guess they're calling it accreditive. It could be a ranch, it could be a stage. There is a a little bit of bonus for that as well, or so they recognize that as well. I'm not sure. I don't know the real reason why there's all these stages being built. I can't quite figure it out because the work is not here. So I don't know why they're doing that unless there was some sort of tax incentive for these companies to build, but no one's filming in them.
And there are a lot of new ones or rehabs. I've been seeing so much
Yes.
about that. And maybe it was just the way that the permit process fell, like, in funding, and they just got it now, which is a weird time, but I don't know how that went down, like for building.
Yeah, and it's quite spread out too. I mean, all the way out to Santa Clarita and up into Acton and up off the, quite a far distance, in ranch property where they've built these stages. I just don't know who is filming there. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there. But at least we have a mayor and the governor's all for the industry, which is good because, as you know, it is employs millions of people in the industry, not only people or labor, but vendors as well. And I know there's other parts of California, which people up north in Sacramento or in the tech industry sort of have a complaint about, it's all about the film industry. It's actually not. And I think we just get kind of a bad rap. So I wish the real information was out there because, like I said, generations of families have been supported by this industry, and it'd be a shame to have it just completely peter out.
Yeah,
For sure.
agreed. We feel the same way here.
Yeah,
and we don't have the big history that you do. We just have, our John Waters and Barry Levinson and David Simon sort of grew the industry here, and
those aren't just those are iconic, iconic filmmakers.
And we're into like two generations now, with people, my age, and then our children and are in the industry. So we can say that we're not like it's not new here. We've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, and it sounded like with your government, because it's saying $3 million, it seems, each year, at least for the past couple of years, that you're getting, additional funding. Is that, it's good. There's an upward climb there, and it sounds like the government's on your side for the most part, or I'd say our side in the filmmaking realm. Do you expect like the 2026 fiscal year to be up again to like 23 million, or is that just?
Well, I'm gonna talk a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead, Deb. I'm gonna go on mute.
No, it's been a challenge since 2005 when it was a grant program just to get anything meaningful, and it just fell behind. And in 2008, an advocacy group was formed, the Maryland Film Industry Coalition, because Catherine can say, the state film office works for the governor's office, and there's things that they can say and they can't say, and they basically go with the administration, where we needed an advocacy group that could be the voice for the industry with the entire General Assembly, because there's three parts, of course, to government. It's you can pass bills with just the Senate and House, and you don't need the governor. It's nice to have them on board, but that is how we got this. That's how we got things done. So the Maryland Film Industry Coalition in 2011 was able to get the tax rebate and tax credit off of the governor's budget completely, and it's an offline tax credit. So we were able to do that, and then every year we've tried to get it increased. It'll go up a few million and down a few million, and it's just been challenging, and you have to persevere, and that's since 2011. So where are we now? 2024. Yeah. In some years we've been able to get, an emergency amount of 25 million, then it goes back down, or somebody's going to, it's been very unpredictable, especially when you're trying to get a series to keep coming back every year.
Totally.
When you're only at 15 million or 17 and a half. I mean, these are some of their annual caps.
Yeah, and
So-
going to that one series.
Yeah. So we did. I mean, there for a few years, we had the House of Cards tax credit because every single amount went to House of Cards. So, which is fine. It was great. But then we managed to get the Maryland Independent program in, which was really aimed to help our Maryland independent filmmakers get their projects, made, and that's been very successful. Like Catherine says, when that passed, she's been super busy.
Yeah.
With this, so we just keep trying. It's a great place to work, and we have great crews, and we'll just keep trying every year, get it increased. But what we need now are projects to come in and use the credits we have, because it's kind of hard to ask for more
when nothing's happening.
Yes, exactly.
Well, thank you for that, Deb. Yeah, go ahead, Marcy.
I was going to say, Debbie, it's really important. I like that you mentioned the independent films that are homegrown from there, which is which is really important part of the mechanism of how the industry works. You think about how many people, how many directors and writers and actors and DPs started out on independent movies and then moved up and are doing these, giant tentpole movies. People like, I say this all the time, John Chu, who I did a little movie with him called Gem and the Holograms. It was like a $5 million movie, and now he's doing Wicked. Christopher Nolan was an independent producer. I mean, there's so many people out there. So the independent projects are really important. We can't let those go away. We have to support them because they're stepping stones to the larger picture and the larger projects. So that's a really important key mechanism.
Yeah, and it absolutely in Baltimore we have a really wonderful program with the Saul Zaentz Innovation Fund, which mentors, and they'll select filmmakers twice a year, I think, and provide money for their projects and mentor them. And that some of their projects have gone on through Saul Zaentz, and they also will qualify for the Maryland Independent Tax Credit. And then some of them have gone on to Sundance. And so we really work closely. We have great film schools with Johns Hopkins, MICA, Morgan State University, Towson University, Stevenson. We're creating this pipeline and we support them. And it's really important to note that. And I mean, last fiscal year, while we may not have had a large production in Baltimore City, I still had 87 projects shooting. So those are documentaries, emerging filmmakers, very small independents or students. And so they all get the same hand-holding and experience that I can give them as I would one of the larger projects. So
on my side, I think they're a lot more work. They need a lot more assistance than some of the bigger shows because they're pretty self-sufficient. But yeah, same. We say we don't have a lot. But yeah, we had like 10 applications for the small program, but they're not budgets that are going to eat up our tax credit program. We have yet to. So let's see, for last year, it was 1.75 million set aside for small films. I don't think we've broken $1 million yet giving away per fiscal year. So the small film program is for productions between, I used to say 25,000 and 500,000, but they changed the percentage on me. So it's 28% now. So the small program caps out at $125,000 maximum that you can get back.
Mm-hmm.
And does above the line qualify?
Yes. So how our program works, every employee, every crew member, your cast and crew qualifies for the production, as long as they are not compensated for the project over 500,000, and that includes all compensation. So if they're, if you're giving them a housing fee, if you're whatever their salary is, their benefits, all of that. So once you hit that $500,000 mark, those wages and compensation no longer qualify. That was a big sticking point with our legislators about, well, why are we going to give, tax credit for Julia Louis-Dreyfus or, whomever. So that was sort of the compromise that the coalition and the legislature, when they were coming up with the program, to sort of say, well, look, we're not, it's credits on the grips and the electrics, and but everyone qualifies as long as you are in the state of Maryland. So boots on the ground in Maryland. So if your producer comes in from LA and is there for the full shoot, then the wages for that producer qualify for the credit.
Yeah, that's good. That's great.
The one of the, ours is pretty generous on what does and does not qualify. The one thing that's a little wonky is travel. So the airfare is only travel into the state, and this was specifically written in the statute, so we have really no control over that. So if you fly someone in round trip, they have to fly into BWI. If they fly into Dulles, it doesn't qualify. It's only half the fare, but trains from New York down to Baltimore qualify. If you have to fly someone to Dulles, then the car service to bring them to Maryland would qualify, but it's just travel into the state.
Yeah, no, that's good. That makes sense. How long is it until a project gets their return?
A lot of that depends on the productions. I would say for all of the big shows that have come in, they've taken the full amount of time allocated for them to submit the application. So you have to, at the beginning, when you apply to qualify, we set a completion date. So we had to put this in place for series because we had to have a cutoff date for the season. So say it's December 31st is your completion date. That's the date that you should have all of your costs in Maryland finished, completed, paid, done, or incurred. You could pay them after as long as they are incurred before that date. You have 180 days, so 6 months after that completion date, to submit your application for qualification. Application for final tax credit certification. So 6 months to do that. Once it comes to us, depending on how many projects have applied, it's done on a first come, first serve basis. We say it could be anywhere from 60 days, 90 days, 120 days for our review. We try to keep it on the lower end. Once we review it and it goes to the comptroller, we say 30 days probably to file your tax return. Again, it depends on the time of year, because it is, again, a corporate tax return. And if you file in April, it may take longer.
Yeah, that's good. I know some other states, unfortunately, take years.
It's not years. It's not years.
That's
Hopefully
good.
it will be within a year.
Yeah, that's
and
really
shorter
good.
than that.
Yeah, because I know there are some states that take 3 to 5 years.
Well, I think some, I feel like we had a conversation about this out at AFCI week, and they were saying that New York has already promised out future credits, so they can't. And we did that early on in the program. We promised out credits from a future fiscal year, so you can't issue those credits until that actual fiscal year. So I think that may be some of the issues with some of the other states as well.
Yeah, I think that's what they were doing. So that, I think, and then, yeah, I mean, they should.
We're trying not to do that anymore.
shouldn't
was
do that.
really difficult.
Yeah.
Because it was so low. I think, Catherine, those were the House of Cards years.
It was House of Cards.
Yeah.
It was the only way we could get the the third season, I should say, of House of Cards. We had to promise out future fiscal years.
Oh, well, ladies, that makes sense because that project, again, another iconic project. It was such a critically acclaimed, that show was so good. So that I get.
Yeah, also the beginning of that whole streaming issue, which is, a whole nother
Oh my God, which
problem.
Is, yeah.
That was the beginning of it all. You're right.
That's
Yeah.
it. That
was
first
the
one,
very
yeah.
first.
Yeah, I mean, that whole streaming thing just like broke the back of the theatrical model.
and a
Right.
lot of the studios. And
Yes.
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out over the next few years, I think.
Yeah, because ultimately it hasn't really been that long in the scheme of things since that began, and we've already seen, exponential shifts. And so, yeah, what will it be in 10 years? Like,
Hmm.
it could be returning back to the way it was because this whole streaming era just kind of dwindles. I mean, that's definitely one way it could go, but we're obviously
Hey, I
seeing.
would love that if it went back to a world without tax credits, where you just came to an area because you got great service from the film commission, the locations were fantastic, and the crew was top notch. We did really well back then.
It sounds
Yeah.
so much simpler too, just the way you described it. Like, we just want to film here because we love it, and there's people here that will support us. Like,
Well, right.
Right.
Well, and for me, it's just, the bloat of these big projects, for unnecessary bloat, and like trying to figure out how to work streets and park base camps and park tech trucks and all
Yeah.
of that. It just really had gotten crazy.
it is crazy. I was just in Toronto for a commercial, and just it's a 30-second spot, but it was just the amount that they took over for that 30-second spot. It made me laugh because I come from the small film indie world, and
Mhm.
you just bring a couple of cars and you got your own equipment and there you go. But yeah, then just to see the complete opposite end of that spectrum, and so
It is. And I remember, the days working with Michael Hausman, just the New York crews, and just everything was so easy. You need a bathroom, find the bathroom. It's over there. It's just,
You mean the backyard? Sure.
yeah, that's right. Hey, there's a bush. No, I'm just, it wasn't that, but
Maybe on John's.
we just got it done. Yeah.
Exactly, and it always turned out well, and they're well enough, and there's still just, if you saw the love and the passion in the project, then that's ultimately what it mattered. Alas, here we are in 2024. I would love Debbie or Catherine, but I know Debbie from the Baltimore Film website. You have a screenwriters competition.
We do, yes. So this will be our 20th year. We do it. The film office works with Morgan State University and Johns Hopkins, their film programs, on this competition, and they have their students learn the art of coverage to prepare them. I mean, there's a job. I think it's even union job, right? To provide script coverage for the people who submit their scripts. And we encourage all levels of writers. Of course, there's certain formats that they have to submit their scripts. And we would like to see scripts that could be filmed in Baltimore or are set in Baltimore. And we've had some really great success with this. Our first level are the students, and then the coverage moves on after they're scored to local producers and independent filmmakers. And then our final judges are people like Nina Noble, who is executive director of Blown Deadline and works with David Simon. Ken Lezebnik, who is a writer. He does a lot of, I think, a lot of Hallmark movies. But we've had all kinds of David Talbert. Talbert was a judge one year, and then we do a shorts category and a features category. The winners get cash prizes and access passes to a film festival, the Maryland Film Festival. And then some of them then get the confidence. I mean, we're trying to nurture these writers and give them good coverage and feedback. And some of them, with that nurturing, have felt confident enough to go on to the Saul Zaentz Innovation Fund and enter their scripts and go on to have their films made. So it's a nice little journey for our writers.
Yeah,
That's really, really smart. You're supporting from the ground up. You're supporting emerging filmmakers, and you're providing a pathway for them to succeed. Boy, is that really smart. You're building the foundation for a community that's local.
Oh, thank you. Yes. And with the students too, just learning about script coverage. I mean, so it's all of that, right? It's, and our head of Morgan State University, which is an HBCU institution, he's really good with film school and his students, also talking to them about it's not just graduating from film school and working in film, but what are the skill sets that you learn in film school, which is what some of us crew people now are trying to figure out, or some of the crew people, what do I do now? I haven't worked in 2 years. What else can I do with myself? So he's preparing them in advance. You know, you might want to shoot your own film or do this or that, but think about what else you could be doing in the meantime to make money. What are you learning here? What are we teaching with storytelling, and what you're learning with tech and that sort of thing to find other work. So we're really fortunate to have some great film school.
So smart.
That is smart. Yeah. And forgive me if you mentioned it, for this competition, you have to be a Maryland local.
No, you do not. You can be from anywhere. It's just we would like for your story to be set in Baltimore, or I don't know, it's maybe 70 or 50% filmable. So you'll have
Okay.
Baltimore locations. So for instance, if you have something that's set, you know, your script is set in Philadelphia, just change your locations to Baltimore. You know? So,
Why are you really holding on to Philly?
yeah. Or anywhere. I mean, and again, like Catherine, we were talking about earlier, we wanted to be in the city. We have filmed, I think it was on a Michael Hausman show and maybe even House of Cards. Big salt piles were deserts, you know. I mean, we can make things up
Right.
in the city. So, I mean, we've got water, we've got old architecture, seaports, modern architecture. So we can do just about anything. European looks. We can
100%.
double.
Yeah, we did. We were Paris
That's right, and Washington Square.
and the trenches of World War I. So
Exactly.
Small state has a lot to offer.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Smallmore. That's it. We all know each other too.
That's
Somebody's always related to somebody else, or it's that kind of place where be careful where you are in a restaurant who you're talking about, because somebody behind you knows
probably your
who it
cousin.
is.
Fabulous. Well, thank you for that. Yeah, I'm happy that in our transcript as well because we have a lot of writers who are a part of Groovy, and it's just great to just know that there's other opportunities out there, and it's kind of cool to even have those little, not necessarily rules, but with the, it's got to be 50-70% filmable in Maryland.
Yes.
That's a great little just prompt to have too if you are creating something from spec that is completely fresh. Just, all right, I have this and this, and I can for sure get considered for. Sounds like, because it says like this year's competition, you had 62 scripts submitted. So, and in the scheme of things, that's a relatively like smaller competition as well, which is great just to know that you're not going to get lost in 2,000 scripts.
Right, exactly. And again, the coverage you receive, and I think is really valuable. And we make sure that everybody does a good job with their coverage, and it's just important to get your work read, especially if you're starting out. And I mean, and the other thing too is it's a lesson just in how to be able to adapt your script to a different location.
Totally, yeah.
So one of my favorite screenwriting competition stories back from my days in Virginia is the Virginia Film Festival did the same thing. They had a screenwriting competition that a young Vince Gilligan applied for, and he got Mark Johnson loved his screenplay, and years later we have.
Look at that, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great story, and that's exactly right,
Catherine.
Catherine. You just don't.
No Breaking Bad without Virginia.
Correct, absolutely.
Or just imagine how it would have turned out differently. Maybe it would have been 20 years later. Maybe it would have been not.
I think the screenplay he won with was Home Fries, which they eventually ended up making. It was terrible.
Oh, my sister worked on that. And Mark Johnson produced Avalon, so I knew Mark well. And my sister worked for Mark as his assistant years ago. She talks about Home Fries a lot.
What a young Drew Barrymore. I love it. Everybody's got to start somewhere.
Yeah,
that's
exactly. And we hope
Mark's a legend.
Well, fabulous. Well, Cody, I know there was a lingering question that you had asked, 20 minutes ago now.
I think it was sort of answered. It was just Debbie ended up covering it a bit. I was just curious about the process that ultimately led to, the mayor's office delegating, awarding funds toward film and these offices. But I think it was more or less answered as she and Marcy continued their conversation. So I feel satisfied. But I mean, ladies, what else is there that you two would like to share with the audience? And, and this conversation too is going to be made available digitally after we conclude recording. So if there's anyone in your, jurisdiction or outside, that you just want to share a bit more about Maryland or any of the other programs that the film offices offer, please, open mic.
Well, I would bring up that we have several film festivals in state that people might want to try and submit their films to. The Annapolis Film Festival is a really great one. The Maryland Film Festival here in Baltimore, they have another one that's coming up. I think it's in a week or so. New Next Film Festival for really independent production. PG County has a film festival this weekend. Prince George's County, which is just outside of DC. The Chesapeake Film Festival takes place on Easton. That's also so I think the Prince George's County and Chesapeake Film Festival overlap the same weekend. There's Ocean City Film Festival, which is a great little film festival that started up about 10 years ago. So there's a lot of film festivals in the state that people, if they're filmmakers and have made films and just want to get some different coverage, get it shown other places, consider applying for some of those film festivals.
Mm-hmm. And there's one out in Western Maryland in Hagerstown, and we also have some great high school work going on with Baltimore School for the Arts, but out in Hagerstown, there's the Barbara Ingram School for the Arts, and some of their high school student filmmakers are in a competition this weekend in New York, which is really great. I mean, these are the outlying areas of the state that, we talk about, and we want to make sure that we're really bringing in all areas. Again, Maryland's a small state. It's not as big as California, but we're happy to see that there's so many people supporting the film industry.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Just the passion and it's all just a bigger, wider community.
Right. And I know we talked about this the other day. I just want to, remind everyone that one of my favorite shows in the first television series that was filmed in Maryland, it was filmed in Baltimore. It's Homicide: Life on the Street. 30 years ago, it came out, and they finally were able to get some music rights sorted out. And so it is streaming on Peacock, all 122 episodes. And it's such a great show.
I know what I'm doing this weekend.
Yes, so awesome. I was location manager on the first 4 seasons, so it's really fun. And it's just, even after 30 years, just to sit and you see a location from 30 years ago, and you remember whatever issues you had, or the neighbor next door that had the barking dog or whatever. So.
And bonus points if you watch to tell what episode I was a dead body.
Catherine was a dead body, and I'm in it in a red coat walking up the front steps to the rec pier. So it's been really exciting, I think, for a lot of us, because for a lot of our crew, it was one of the first big projects that we all worked together on. And to have Tom Fontana and Barry Levinson and David Simon, and it was really
a great
and what a time capsule too, to just be able to look at Baltimore through that lens and then see how it's changed 30 years later.
Yeah.
If it's changed, I know they, the architecture is more than likely very similar because it's just history there, but generally, I love that. And I think I shared that I didn't ever know about this show until you talked about it a couple of days ago, but it is one of the pioneering procedurals, I would say.
Yeah, so well written, and it
You
looks
might have been
great.
You might have been too young to know that show.
Yeah, I took Law & Order when I started with the.
Well, the funny thing, the first thing I noticed was just they were smoking everywhere. In bars, in the courthouse, smoking everywhere, in desk phones. Nobody had cells. Everybody had a landline.
Mm-hmm.
It's just little things like that. And I know it's 30 years ago, but it felt like it was yesterday to me.
That is really super cool about that show. That's great.
Time flies. Speaking of time flies, well, I just wanted one question for me is just if you, Catherine, you, Debbie, could just share, like, if it's one or two, and maybe you've already shared it today, but like your favorite thing about Maryland, whether it's film related, whether it's just state related, if you have one.
Oh, wow. Well, I'll just say, I don't know if I could say state related, but I mean, one of my favorite things about the state is the Chesapeake Bay. I love anywhere on the bay. It's just beautiful. With regards to film, besides Homicide, I have to give that plug to Debbie. That was one of the greatest projects that I worked on, and it was one of the first ones when I came up here. But still to this day, one of my favorite shows that I ever worked on was 12 Monkeys, with Terry Gilliam as the director. Just an amazing group of people to work with. And I think the film's really great as well. So that would probably be one of my favorite experiences. And that's pretty bad that I started at the high point.
Great answers.
Well, I think for me, it's just, again, I don't know, it maybe this happens with a lot of people, but my connection just being here, I mean, my family's been here for generations and generations, and it's just like that history that I think a lot of us Marylanders feel for where we are, and, you know, being in such an old state with so much beauty. And I live on the water, I'm down on the bay, and it is just so special. So I think that we share that with filmmakers in our love for our history and our beauty, you know, naturally, and then also just the city. I mean, the whole state. So I think that's kind of what I go on. I mean, and movie wise, I still think Avalon, as a location manager on Avalon, was one of my best experiences, because it shared the same sentiments. I mean, Barry Levinson's love for Baltimore. So
yeah,
on that.
Awesome. I appreciate those answers, and yeah, it is just being surrounded by, like you said, the history, and it's there. You can breathe it in, and hasn't yet been tainted, which is
no, yeah.
And the more you talk about this stuff, Deborah and Catherine, it doesn't really, like, we can't let the industry leave the country. It needs to stay in the States. It's just,
we have to, whatever we can do.
Yeah. So Marcy, I'm going to put it to you to put your network out and let people know that we've got funding available for, you know, sort of that mid-range project. And we've got the crew here ready and willing to work. So get the word out, spread the word, keep anything we can here in the States. Maryland's a great place to come and spend some time.
Yep.
Yeah, I think if we keep, I love these open conversations, these hot mics, and we pass the mic around, and it feels very community-like, and to be able to just talk openly and genuinely. And I'd love to do these with other film commissioners. And you guys have been so generous with your time and accommodating with the time of day and everything. But just so we can hear more from everybody across the nation about keeping the work here, I think, you know, we just need to, as we're singing to the chorus, band together and just keep it in strength and numbers in the U.S.
Yeah,
whatever we can do, and we just have to figure out the best, you know, the best way to do it. And I think that, like you said, that these conversations have been this conversation today has been very helpful.
100%. And yeah, just the fact that this will go onto Cruvy.com and will be, you know, to anybody who wasn't attending today. And so our two attendees who are still here, David and Adesola, it's also up to you, since you stayed, to help spread the word. And whether you're a filmmaker or whether you're not, we just send gratitude to you for tuning in. And we did have a few other people that had to leave a little bit early, but yeah, so if to you, Adesola, to you, David, if there are any additional questions or comments that you have for either Debbie, Catherine, or anybody here, we would love to hear from you, whether it's in the chat or feel free to. Perfect. Adesola, thank you for requesting to be a speaker. You can go ahead and speak.
Be sure to unmute yourself in the bottom left.
Okay, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so when you said that you have the crew to complete the film, can you, I guess, explain what you mean by that? Or does the Maryland Film Office have a production crew set out? Or-
Well, we don't. But we've got people that live in Maryland. Some of them have stayed. A lot of them have, have gone out of state to work on projects. But we've got, you know, ADs and grips and electrics and set decorators and art department. So we've got the people here that are ready to work. We just need the productions to come in.
Great question. So yeah, so local living film and TV professionals who are willing to get to work once the projects come in, and that could be. Are you a writer? Are you a film industry professional, Adesola? Sorry to put you on the hot spot there.
No, I was wondering too. I would love to know. Adesola, do you have a stake in the film or TV industry? We'd love to hear from you. She became shy.
Or there's a mic issue. Who knows?
That's true. That's
Give her the
true.
benefit of the doubt there.
Thanks, Chad.
Regardless, it is it's good to have that distinction of there are professionals living in each state, and the way that the incentive works to get that tax credit is to hire those local living professionals so that they can get work.
Yeah, and I just want to throw out there, thank you guys again for having Debbie and me with you today. And I'm sorry, I was on a tight schedule. I was not able to meet later than 4 today, but happy if you feel like it would be beneficial to do another one of these at a later time. I'm, given my availability, I work up and I'm 24/7.
Yeah, I love to hear that. I think that shows a real commitment to what we were just talking about. The other part, and I'll, so that everyone can go. Sorry, I just want to bring this one thing up. The other part that, which you guys are probably very well aware of, that Jeanette and I are really passionate about, is that trying to get people the proper training so that they can have a sustainable career in this business and not just make it like a one-off, or I'm a PA, but I can't find work, and then I can't find an apartment, and you want to make it like a sustainable, real, viable career. So kudos to you guys, going backwards just for a minute, just to say about how you're supporting all the up and coming filmmakers, and just keeping these conversations going and talking about it, and educating the up and coming filmmakers about how to do it and what to do. I'm all about film schools. That's great. But as we all know, you got to be on the set or in the office and working with people who are veterans and who know how to do the job, because that's how you get the best experience.
Well, that's right. And we're trying, and we're working on that. So we're going to keep it going.
We're going to keep it going. I love that.
That's right. Keep on keeping on.
More of these would be great. I love these chats. More of this is really good.
Yes.
I agree.
Thank you, Marcy, for your involvement today. And a final thank you to Debbie and to Catherine for taking the time out of their days to just inform us about Maryland, the beautiful state, and all that it has to offer for film, television professionals, and anyone that just wants to go experience a little bit of history at the Chesapeake Bay.
Well, thank you again for having us. And like Catherine said, I'm available as well. So I'm happy to do this again some other time.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll get a little Maryland update in a few, and just see how things have shifted, and what projects are coming up for you guys.
That'd be great.
Awesome.
Yeah, maybe vary it up too, and have another guest on with you too from another film commission, or just somewhere to encourage that unification across the states.
Love that. Well, for now, thank you so much for attending this groovy chat via Chatmosa. Be on the lookout for another thank you email with information. We'll send some of these links that we posted in the Nest, as well as information on our next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hope everybody has a great rest of your day and a great week.
Thank you.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Goodbye,
Thank
everybody.
you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.